You're listening to the Create What You Speak podcast, where I invite you to come along with me as we shape our own reality together. My intention is to bring out the magic in you. Now let's get started.
Run away from the humdrum. We'll go to a place that is safe from greed, anger, and boredom. We'll dance and sing till sundown and feast with abandon. We'll sleep when the morning comes and we'll rise by the sound of the bird song.
My name is Sloan Fremont, and today I'm going to talk to you about a question that came to mind the other day. And that question was, are you still getting what you want?
I deserve congratulations, 'cause I came out the other side. I've been having revelations, and I'm gonna let them shine. I deserve congratulations, I never thought that I'd survive. If you tell me I won't make it, and that's when I SuperBloom.
All right, welcome to another episode of the Create What You Speak podcast. Are you still getting what you want? It might be a weird question, or if you think about it, you might be like, what is she talking about? But if you stick with me, I think you'll understand what I'm getting at this week. And even in the midst of chaos and lockdowns and all the confusion and anger and so many other things we have going on right now, if you stop and think about it and actually ask yourself the question, am I still getting what I want? Am I still getting what I want? We're going to talk about that this week, and that question popped into my head earlier in the week, and I'm going to talk you through this because at first I resisted it, and at first I was even pissed that the question came to my mind. But I wanted to talk about this because I think if we start to ask ourselves this question, it helps us look at things a little bit differently, and it helps to give us a new perspective, which is always a good thing. And this ties right in line with our theme this month, which is your focus is your superpower. So that's what we're going to get into this week. But before I do that, I want to remind you that my new course, 33 Days of Magic, is now live in my Etsy shop. And this course is something I developed as an extension of the podcast. I wanted to be able to bring you more, actionable things you could do past just listening to the podcast. So this workbook it contains 33 affirmations. There's an affirmation each day. I take you through a process that I used in my own life. This is how I called in my amazing boyfriend. I've used this with my finances. I used it when I moved here. I've used it in so many ways and gotten amazing results. So I've included that process in the course. And there's some other little goodies that I've included in there as well for you. So this is a really powerful process. It works. I know it does because I've done it in my own life, and I'm really, really excited to bring this course to you. I love how it turned out. It was a lot of fun to create, and I can't wait to have you try it. Just so you can see for yourself. Like, I can tell you these things, but I want you to be able to see for yourself, when you take action, when you do these things, the results that you can get in your own life. So if you're interested, go to 33daysofmagic.com. It's the number 33daysofmagic.com. All right, so let's get into this week's show. So like I said in the intro, earlier this week, I had this moment where I was thinking about everything going on in the world. And if you remember, if you listened to last week's episode, I had a couple of weeks that were really shitty weeks. They were really, really tough weeks for me, like just low weeks. And I feel like I described this, like I was thinking about this, like it's like I'm recovering from being sick. Like I'm slowly getting back into things, right? Like I'm really feeling my way through things, and I'm not doing things that don't feel good to myself. And so that has included things like turning off the news, because that just doesn't feel good to me. And I think this question popped in my mind actually after I had, for a split second, like started to look at news, and I was like, wait a minute, no, what am I doing? Nope. And so I was thinking about everything that's going on, and I was feeling like I started to feel this overwhelming, like sad, angry, confused feeling, and like, when is this all going to end? And then I was like, nope, I'm not doing that. But then in that split second, this question popped in my mind, like, even with all that going on, but are you still getting what you want? And I stopped for a minute, and I thought, what? Like, no, of course I'm not getting what I want because I can't do this or I can't do that, or this is different now because of things, or, whatever other reasons I could come up with, like to argue with myself on the topic. I was, instantly fighting with myself on it. But then I stopped for a minute and I was like, all right, let's really think about this. Like, that's actually not true. Like, if I look past the anger and every other emotion about that, that's actually not true. I am still getting what I want right now. And after moving past that knee-jerk reaction, I was surprised that actually, yes, I'm getting what I want. It may not always feel like it, or it may not seem like it, but I'm actually getting what I want right now. And so I'm going to give you some examples of that in my own life and just some realizations I came to. So I'm getting what I want as it relates to the relationship I'm in with my boyfriend. It doesn't always seem like it. Like, things aren't obviously normal, right? Like, we're not going out and doing the things that we would normally do, but it's still working for us. We're still making it work. We're still, there's things that, again, maybe don't go the way I think they should, but I'm getting what I want with him. We're growing together. We're getting to know each other. We're creating these wonderful moments and memories, and I'm getting what I want there. I'm getting what I want. And I'm getting what I want as it relates to my body and my health. Like, I rarely eat out anymore. I have time, and I'm cooking. I have time like you do, I'm sure. And I'm cooking so much more at home now that I actually prefer doing that. And I found some really cool websites. I've started making authentic Mexican food and with like so much flavor, and it's so good. And even my boyfriend approves. And as a result, I'm seeing and feeling my body change. Like, I'm feeling better. I'm not rushing around from one thing to the next. And as I thought about that, I'm like, how did I ever do that before? How did I live like that? Like, where I was constantly rushing from one thing to the next. And as I was thinking about it, I'm also getting more sleep, right? Last night I was just thinking about it. I was like, wow, it feels good to get sleep. Like, I usually go to bed around like 9 or 10 and I sleep until about 7. And that's an amazing amount of sleep every night. And my body loves me for that, right? My body is like, I can tell. It's like, I feel good when I wake up. And again, I can't believe I ever used to go out, several nights a week and sleep so little, like zero sleep hardly. And I don't think I ever want to go back to that. I mean, I'm not saying I won't go out during the week. I'm not saying that, but I definitely don't want to go back to those sleep deprived nights where I'm getting like 4 and 5 hours of sleep. Like, that's a no for me. Like, so yeah, I am actually getting what I want as it relates to my health and my body. And I'm getting what I want as it relates to my energy and how I show up in the world. And of course, like I said, I just a couple weeks ago experienced a terrible couple of weeks of time, but those things are going to happen, right? We're never going to be at a point where nothing ever stays the same, right? It's always changing. And so going through those periods like that, they aren't bad. Those are what help us grow. Those are what help us, get on to the next phase, or get that expansion that we're really looking for, right? We say we want something different, but sometimes it takes going through some things. It takes letting go. Like for me, I know it was letting go of fears. It was believing that I was worthy of having things. It was believing in myself, believing that I could have the good things that I wanted. And those parts are necessary, right? Like that, we have to go through those, and our mind has to shift. We have to be able to change. And so going through those things aren't bad. They're not bad at all. And what I realized after that, and during these past couple of months, is I just feel like I'm really able to tune into myself now. Like, I've slowed down enough, and I can actually listen and hear. And going through that dark night of the soul that I went through recently, I mean, I'm acutely aware of my energy and when I'm starting to feel bad. So I'm doing more for me. Like, I'm doing more to love me. Like I talked about on last week's show, like I'm having these softer and better and supportive conversations with myself. And I've let go of that need to feel like I did it perfectly, and if I didn't, then I, beat myself up for it, and I'm gentler with myself. And when I do that, my energy changes. Like, I'm showing up differently. I'm coming across differently. And so yes, I'm getting what I want as it relates to my energy and feeling good and how I show up in the world. And I was thinking about this also with, I think we were all in such a, this is how I usually do things kind of mindset or something, I've always done things this way. And we were talking about this the other day because I was talking about flying versus driving. And I'm like, well, I always just flew. I mean, that was just what I did. And then now I'm starting to like rethink that. Like I drove to Florida like 7 hours. Like I never would have done that before. And I wouldn't have taken the time. I would have just not been like, no, it's just not worth my time. But actually it was. It was a different experience, and it was worth my time. And I was even thinking about traveling, the travel and I still love to travel. I'm not saying I don't, but and things, we go through phases and things. And so maybe I'm just in a different phase right now. But I was going to go to Florida last weekend, and it was supposed to rain, and I wasn't sure. And I was just had this feeling like, you know what, I don't really want to go. And I didn't. And so I think previously I probably just would have went anyway for the sake of going, because that's what I do, right? That's what I do. And I guess what I'm finding is that the things that I always thought like, oh, that's just what I do, those things are changing, and that's okay. That's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing at all. And so I could go on and give you examples of things like this where, yes, I'm getting what I want, but I haven't really been realizing that until I stopped to ask myself that question. And it was such an odd question. It just popped in my head. Random. I mean, obviously nothing's random, but it was obviously going on inside me. But it just popped in my head. And asking that question, it required me to look past what I'm seeing right now and the discomfort that I'm feeling, or this isn't normal. I don't know how to operate in this type of environment now, with things being so different. And it required me to go past the surface and dig a little deeper and not just go with my knee-jerk reaction. And in doing that, I was surprised at what I found, but also I was like happy and I was relieved, and I was like, yeah, you know what? This isn't all bad, right? This isn't all bad. And I am actually getting what I want, even if it doesn't look like it on the surface or doesn't feel like it sometimes, or it's it's happening in a way I'm not used to navigating. And I think that might be a bigger part of it for me is, and maybe you too, that I'm just not used to navigating this way. So if I'm not used to navigating this way, then it must mean it's wrong or bad, and therefore I'm not going to get what I want. And asking myself that question helped me realize that just wasn't true. So things I've been asking for a long time, I've been asking for, they're coming, at least for me, in ways I've never expected. And I haven't enjoyed all of them. I have not enjoyed all the ways that they came. But in the end, I'm getting what I want. So how can I say that journey has been wrong or bad or unnecessary, right? I mean, I can't, because it wasn't. It's just perfect. And so I wanted to talk about this question this week of, are you still getting what you want? Because I wondered if you could see that in your own life too. I wondered if you, the listener, if you're, even in the midst of feeling like everything's falling apart on the surface, if there's underneath all that, if there's this feeling that things were working out for you, that it was going to be okay, and that in the end, no matter how it's looked along the way, that you're still getting what you want. And so this week, this is the short and quick one this week, because I think this is such a powerful question, and it doesn't require a lot of me talking about it. But this week I would ask that you start to look in your own life and ask yourself, even with everything going on, whatever that is for you, are you still getting what you want? Are you still getting the things you wanted, even if they've come about in some crazy way you would have never in a million years expected? And if the answer is yes, then I would ask you to continue to see things that way. That's amazing. Continue to remember that your focus is your superpower. You're provided for, you're taken care of. Everything is always working out for you, even if it doesn't seem like it. And even I think especially taking the time to appreciate those things happening and appreciate yourself for seeing the goodness in what's happening to you now as well. But if you're struggling right now and you're like, how the fuck could I be getting what I want right now? Like, no, that's not me. Okay, that's fine. That's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with that. And I'm not here to try to paint roses over something that you're just absolutely not feeling. That's not what I'm trying to do. Where you are is okay, and it's temporary. It's temporary. It's not going to last forever. So I guess what I would offer, if you're feeling that way, is if you haven't listened to last week's episode where I talk about coming out of the darkness for myself, that might be helpful to listen to. But I think being able to soften our stance just a little bit on whatever it is, so that we can really start to open up and see different perspectives around us, is a big help. And I think also, like I talked about on last week's episode, changing those conversations in our mind so that we're at least friends with ourselves, right? There's so much around us, so much we may be angry about, so much we may be confused or, whatever about. But if we can be friends with ourselves by what we're talking about in our minds to ourselves, I think that's, that can solve a big, big part of our perceived problems, because we're softening to our own self, and we're accepting ourselves. We're letting ourselves be ourselves, and we're not trying to punish ourselves for that. So I think between those two things, that can help to start, at least it helped me. Like, it helped me to understand that it's not forever, and that even if I can't see it now, and I can't see how possibly all the pieces are going to lay down and, come into form and be okay, or they haven't clicked into place yet, that the possibility is there, and wherever I'm at today with that is okay. It's okay. It's okay. You don't have to do any more. So our focus is our superpower, and as listeners of the show, you get what you focus on. So my question is, what will your focus be this week? All right, that is it for this week's show on Are You Still Getting What You Want? Like I said, the message is pretty short and sweet, and it's really about, I think, looking past the obvious that we see in this moment that maybe doesn't seem like what we're used to, or maybe we don't know how to navigate, or we're just so, who knows what emotion tied to it. But even if it doesn't seem like how we thought things would come about, and maybe it doesn't seem like it's ever going to end, but if we can look past all that and ask ourselves, but am I still getting what I want? Am I still getting what I want? Even if it doesn't come the way I expected it to come, am I still getting what I want? My hope is that you'll be surprised at the answers, just like I was. All right, so that's it for our show. I'm going to talk about the songs I picked, and then I'll close us out. All right, the intro song is called SuperBloom by MisterWives, and I love pretty much all their songs. This one I really liked. Okay, the lyrics go like this. Resilient little thing, just like mama made you. No one needs to save you. Wallflower in the spring, oh, they can't contain you. Through the cracks you break through. I deserve, okay, and then it goes into the chorus, and it says, I deserve congratulations because I came out on the other side, and I've been having revelations, and I'm going to let them shine. I deserve congratulations. I never thought that I'd survive. If you tell me I won't make it, that's when I super bloom. And so, I mean, I think we can all relate to this, right? Like I deserve congratulations. I never thought that I'd survive. I mean, I knew that. That's how I felt the past couple of weeks. I did not think I was going to survive that. I felt so low and so bad. So I deserve congratulations, right? We all deserve congratulations. We deserve congratulations. So this song, I found it very uplifting, and I really liked it. That was Super Bloom by MisterWives. Okay, outro song is called Happy Does by Kenny Chesney. We're just going to continue that happiness theme. And this, I mean, if you know, Kenny's songs are, beachy vibe, like upbeat. And he's talking about in this song about this person like sells gasoline and what you drink 8 to 3 a.m. He's got a tattoo for the core and ex-wife number 4. And he's humming along, and he could be another one cussing the government, but no, he smiles. He's got 100 reasons not to, but he's the poster child for happy is as happy does. And he talks about happy is as happy does. You can be happy or or not, really, right? It's your choice. And so that song is Happy Does by Kenny Chesney. All right, that's it for our topic this week on Still Getting What You Want. And I would love to know what you think of the show. If you have any questions, I would love to hear from you. My email is sloanfremont@gmail.com. My website is sloanfremont.com. You can find me on social media at sloanfremont. And if you like the podcast, please tell your friends, subscribe, rate, review, all that kind of stuff. Thanks for listening this week. And remember that you do have the capacity to step into anything you want, and you can have anything you want. Your focus is your superpower. So choose wisely.
Happy is as happy does. Grab a 6-string, find a rope swing, hang a palm tree in your truck, drink a beer just because. Still a slow dance in a rainstorm and a kiss from who you love. Laugh and live with a half full cup.